Some of y'all need to pick a struggle when it comes to criticizing DeMeco Ryans.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go. Hard work, work. Everybody doing it right. Hard work, work, work. That's what you say. Hard work, work, work. Earn more pay. Hard work, work. Hard work, do it every day. Hard work, work. Get up out of quarter to three. Hard work, work. Let me go and earn more pay. Hard work, work. Boots on and lace.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You're tuning to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. And make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Texans podcast and to the Locked On Texans YouTube page. What's going on, y'all? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, Alexis. What up, Marcus? HD, what it do? I'm not addressing that blood. Back at you. We made it to Friday. They call me Mr. Nobody. Dre Eagles, what's going on? D Skills in H-Town. Hello. It's Erlyn, right? I want to make sure I got that right. Erlyn. I'm just going to call you Miss Fisher. Sarah! No. Hello, Miss Jordan. How's it going? Trying to make sure I get everybody here. What up, Dominique? Hello. Whether sunny or gray, we gon' ball and parlay. Can't say the rest. Just gonna say that. But hey, I ain't gonna even lie. Prairie View Van playing ball and parlay. Whether sunny or gray, we gon' ball and parlay. We gon' ball every day. Hey, oh wait. Make sure. There you go. All right. Once again, you're tuned to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Listen, before we even get started, y'all know how we do this. Hey, listen. So the last two mornings, right? The last two mornings waking up here at Houston Texans. Oh, thank you, Erlyn. I got that right. The last 2 days waking up in Houston, Texas. The weather has been like cool, right? It's been in like the high 50s, like barely below 60, but it's been cool in the morning. You know, something that us people in Houston ain't really used to having on a consistent basis. But you know, we know it's gonna come. We don't get full seasons here. We just get hot, hotter, hottest, humid, humider, humidest, humid. Like we don't get seasons here in Houston, Texas. So when the weather gets cool, you know, we try to enjoy it for as much as we can. It's one of those things where, you know, we go out and, you know, we buy coats and we buy hoodies and we buy sweatshirts just in case. Like it might get cold. And if it does, I just want to be prepared. With that being said, y'all give me a second. Give me 1 second. So this morning, right? This morning when I got up, it was 50 degrees. It is 10:25 Central Standard Time. It is 66 degrees. By 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, it'll be 75 degrees. Hold on. Then it'll drop down back tonight to like 61. But at 3 p.m., 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, it'll be 75 degrees. Most of y'all will still be at work. Or if not, you'll be trying to find some way to get off work, sneak out because, you know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. You're going to start your happy hour as early as you can. Look, wait, hold on. Side note. Yesterday, I got on the elevator with the older lady, and it had to be, I don't know, like 3:30, around 3:30, 4 o'clock. No, it had to be like 4 something because I was at the doctor and I came back. So it was about 4 o'clock. She got on the elevator. She's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing good, ma'am. How you doing?" Whatever the case may be. She's like, "Yeah, I'm headed to go get a drink because I got a pregame before happy hour." I was like, "Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Come again, say what?" This lady was every bit of like 75 years old. She said, "Yeah, I got a pregame. I got to go have a drink before happy hour starts so I can drink." I said, "Oh, huh, all right. Guess that's how we're doing it." Okay. Hey, listen. Hey, live your life how you live your life. I'm not knocking you. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So, as I digress right here on this Freestyle Friday edition of Sports Talk with Big Sarge, some of y'all have lived in Houston, Texas long enough to know that the weather will change at the drop of a dime. Some of y'all have been living in Houston, Texas long enough to know that they're going to give you the weather every day, all day on the news. On your phone, just like what I did, you can look at the weather. You know what the weather's going to be, or predicted to be, excuse me, what it's predicted to be at this time and what it's predicted to be at that time. If you walk out of here in some like thigh-high winter boots because it was cold at 7 a.m., by 12:30, you're going to be hot. If you walk out here in a wool sweater because it was cold in the morning, by 12:30, you're going to be hot. And by the time you get off work, you're going to be burning up. If you went to work in a leather jacket because it was 60 degrees or 57 degrees. No, my guy. I know you've been wanting to wear that leather jacket all year long. I know when you went to Kohl's and got it on sale, you was like, "Oh, I'm going to be killing them with this one right here. Oh, this one right here. Oh, this the one." Or hey, what's the name of that shop what's the name of that store that sells like winter gear to coats? Burlington. Well, when you found that coat in Burlington, you was like, "Look at me. Oh, I'm gonna kill him with this." Oh, I wish Club Phoenix was still open, because if Phoenix was still open, I'd be wearing this thing tonight. Hey, my guy, it's gonna be hot when you get off work. And you've been brought that leather coat in for hours. Like they'll see you in the hours. Or maybe you wear it long enough just to put the pictures up on Instagram. Because we do everything for the gram. But ladies, it's not time to bring out the boots yet. It's not time to bring out the Ugg boots just yet. Hold on. Just hold on. I know it's what's today? November the 15th. And in other parts of the United States, it's cold. I got that part. I know. I understand. I got that part. But right now, it's not the time. Because you walked in there this morning and it was 60 degrees. You're going to walk out, it's going to be damn near 80, and you're going to be burning up. So please, y'all, this is a public service announcement from Big Sarge to you. Wait till the weather gets colder before you break out your cold weather gear. You know what? Let me say that 2 times for the people in the back. Wait till the weather gets cold. Brisk is not cold, right? Windy, slightly windy is not cold. A drop in temperature from, well, you know what though? Some of you people who live in Houston, y'all climatized. So you're so used to 80-degree weather with humidity that once it drops down to 60, you're like, whoo, it's cold. I got to break out my boots. Nah, leave the Ugg boots at the crib. Leave the thigh-high winter boots at the crib. Hey, for you people that's from New York, y'all know better than that. Then you got to pull out your Timbs, but then again, y'all wear Timbs anything. Y'all wear Timbs with shorts. Y'all wear Timbs in church clothes. Y'all wear Timbs in pajamas. Y'all wear Timbs at the gym. Like, y'all know, y'all people from New York and the East Coast, y'all don't even care about where you wear your Timbs. You just gonna wear your Timbs. So it's not time yet. Hold on. Keep watching the weather. They'll let you know when it's time. All right, y'all know how we do it right here on Sports Talk with Big Sarge. This Freestyle Friday too, so we're gonna definitely get this thing going. We're gonna hop into some of these comments. Nah, you right on time. I will not be wearing thigh-high boots, sir. You bet not. Let me see you at NRG with some thigh-high boots on. I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm not judging you. I just need to know what your pronoun is. Who in the hell is wearing a leather jacket in Texas anyway? Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Like in Dallas, like some people like to call Northern Oklahoma. I mean, yeah, what they call it, Northern Oklahoma. They call Dallas. And it's around not Sarge, because I don't need nobody looking for me when I show up on Monday in Dallas to cover the Texans and the Cowboys. Hey, no, not Sarge didn't say that. Other people have called Dallas Northern Oklahoma. Club Phoenix, not Scott Gurn, the Skyball on the roof. Oh man, I remember that. We're gonna get into this. Then DeMeco needs to throw. Oh my god, that's funny. You know, I'm actually sick of Uggs. They need to find something else to wear because some of these women don't want no part after they start leaning over. And they do, hey, they do be leaning. But I'm not gonna lie. I think I'd rather Uggs than Crocs. Crocs are the most uncomfortable thing. I think my wife told me the other day that a man ran a marathon in Crocs. Crocs are the most hideous shoes that I've ever worn. And I know that means I probably never get sponsorship from Crocs, but I just can't wear them. If I ever come on this show and be like, hello, supporters of Sports Talk with Big Sarge. Today, I'm wearing my customized Big Sarge Crocs, and they are comfortable. They make me feel good. When I'm out and about, there's nothing more than I want than my Crocs with the comfortability and the style that they wear. Crocs. Get you a pair. What? No. Hey, look, hold on, wait, which way I need to go? You see that? I wear Nikes. I wear Nike. I wear Nike. I'm not wearing Crocs. Nike got their own version of Crocs. So anyway, y'all know. Hold on. What is it? Okay. Feet gonna be smelling like moist Fritos. Hey, I gotta start this show, y'all. Hey, look, hold on. Even the men in Uggs. Now they don't wear Timbs. Real no, they wear Uggs now. Oh my god. Wait, I'm tripping. Crocs comfy as hell. I'm not tripping. Crocs got that little sticky things in the bottom of them, make my feet hurt. Hold on. So lose to the Cowboys, I will unalive my TV. Why, Zach? What the TV do to you? What the TV do to you? Yep, even dressed up makes you look like a patient. I can't wear no Crocs, man. Them Crocs. And hey, look, if we keeping it a buck, I can't wear no Uggs either. Now I do have some Timbs, and I do like Timbs. Don't get me wrong. I just can't wear them here in Houston because I mean, I look like a doof. All right, on today's Freestyle Friday edition of Sports Talk with Big Sarge, we're going to talk about the Texans' keys to victory. We're going to pick a struggle when it comes to Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans and your questions and comments. So keep the questions and the comments going. Look, y'all know how we do it on Friday. Look, y'all know I normally get to y'all comments anyway, but on Freestyle Fridays, you know I'll stop in the middle of the show if I see something over there and I just post it on there. This is a Freestyle Friday edition of the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. Everybody is welcomed in. Everybody come on in, sit down, ask me the questions you want to ask me. I may or may not answer them, but come on in. Hey, even you ones that called into the radio station on yesterday saying how much you hate me, but you're able to regurgitate all my takes. Even the ones who called in and said, oh, I hate his hat, blah, blah, blah. You're a grown man letting another grown man call you Gare Bear. Your name is Gary. You let another grown man call you Gare Bear, but you hate Sarge? Come on, my God. Hey, Sarge, he got a big stupid hat. I don't know where he came from. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, Gare Bear, I hurt your feelings. You want me to talk to you like the radio host did? Come on in, Gare Bear. This is a safe space. This is a safe space, Gare Bear. Come on in. Here you go. Come on. So even you ones that are watching anonymously, I thank you for being here. Even the ones who are watching are never going to comment, but you hate my guts as far as my sports takes is concerned because you don't know me personally to actually hate me. Come on in. Come on in. This is a safe space. Sit down. Look, I know you kind of really are a fan, but you can't admit it because in all of your sports group chats and at the sports bars that you go to and you're frequenting on your Facebook page and all that, you have joined in the discourse on how much you hate Sarge, but then you go and regurgitate my takes to your family members and to your friends and to your coworkers as if they're yours. Like you were that smart to come up with them. Please stop. Just stop. Just say you're a fan and let's move on. I hate Sarge Thanksgiving meal. I hate your Walmart wings. Now what? Now what? You right, Corey. I am talking tough because we are behind the screen, and if I was probably in your face, I'd probably be like, "Man, can I get one of them wings?" I don't want no smoke, Corey. You know I don't want no smoke, but you hate my Thanksgiving meal. I hate you. I hate the fact that you have a cast iron stomach to be able to digest Walmart chicken wings. I digress. Where are we at? Gary Bear safe space. Gary Bear safe space in his daddy's closet. That's right. Yes, yes, yes. Corey eats Walmart wings and he loves them. He eat Walmart wings so much that any Walmart he go to, they know his name. He like Norm. Remember on Cheers when Norm used to walk in, they be like, Norm. He walk in, they be like, Corey, we got a fresh batch right over here for you. Right over here. Yep, fresh batch. Yeah, we cooked them last night. The rumor is Sarge can't make dressing. There ain't no damn rumor. I can't. There ain't no rumor. I do not know how to make dressing. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's certain meals I know how to make, certain meals I don't know. Hey, look, I know my lane when it comes to the kitchen and cooking, and I stay in it. Eating Walmart wings is wild behavior. Dr. Biz then grab some fresh Walmart wings. I already know. With mac and cheese, what? Doctor visit and grab some fresh Walmart wings. J Rob, what's going on? The Lions love DeMeco Ryans. All right, let's go ahead and jump into these the keys to victories for the Houston Texans and to defeat the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. First things first. Hey, let CJ cook. Bobby, Gerard, DeMeco, whoever else is involved in the offensive, whoever else is involved in the offensive play calling, let CJ cook. And what I mean by let CJ cook is over these next 3 games, just let CJ do what he needs to do. These are the 3 games that you should be saying, hey, CJ, we need to get this thing back on track. So let's do it how you want to do it. By now, everybody has seen the clip of what CJ said at the press conference on Thursday about, I'm not a game manager, I'm a game changer. He's not lying. He's not. He is not lying. He is a game changer. He's not a game manager. And so we're at the point now, Bobby, where we've seen in the first 10 weeks what was going on. CJ has been very, very humble in saying the things that he's been saying. But on yesterday, he gave you a message that was clear and concise. I'm not a game manager. I'm a game changer. Let me get into the game and change the game. Call the plays so I can change the game. Or let me call the plays. Let me call the plays that I want, that I know that can change the game. You got to, Bobby. This is time. This is time. And on today, we'll get a chance to speak with Bobby Slowick, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have some tough questions to answer after the debacle that happened on Sunday night against the Detroit Lions, where the offense just looked stale and lethargic. Like, there's been times where we've seen the offense look bad, right? We've seen the offense look bad. That Minnesota game, the offense looked bad. And I'm talking about just the way that they looked overall. And in the second half of that Lions game, that's exactly how they looked. It looked stale. It looked lethargic. It didn't. There was no emphasis on trying to do anything. It seemed like they got very, very, very conservative. And it's time, when you got the lead, you need to continue to put your foot on the gas and just continue to score as many points as you want to. Look, I understand in sports there's gamemanship. I got it. In sports, you're not trying to embarrass your opponent. That's what most of them think. Hey man, let's do some decorum with this. Let's not try to embarrass them, if we can. That's why I could probably never last coaching a professional sport, especially football or basketball. I wouldn't last. They'd kick me right up out of anything. My owner would come in and be like, "Man, listen, I love your passion. I love your intensity. I love what you've done with this team. But man, oh man, they hate you." Why they hate me though? Because you get up double digit lead in football and you still passing the ball. What I'm supposed to do? That's the game plan. You just want me to run it? That, like, how I got this big lead is how I want to keep it. And if my team is executing the plays that I'm calling and we're scoring points, why am I going to stop them from doing that? I need that continuity to last going over into next week. So I need them to stay in rhythm. It's not my fault, sir. I don't coach the other team. I don't coach the other team. The other team ain't. I don't care what they coaches do. I'm coaching my team and what I need to do to be successful. And if they can't stop it, then that's a them problem, not a me problem. I don't know if I told you all this story or not, but if I have, I'll tell it to you again. Um, Before I left to move to Atlanta, I was a teacher out in Aldine, but I worked at a 5th and 6th grade center. But I was allowed to go to the middle school and help out coaching. And so my dog Rod, man, my dog Rod was like, "Hey, come on over here, man, and coach middle school." So I'm not gonna say which school I was at, but the school that I was at had talent. They had, oh my God, they had talent. We had a 6'5", we had a 6'4" post player that played angry, and all he ever wanted to do was get in the post and destroy people, because that's how his daddy was. I mean, his daddy was one of them ones too. His daddy was one of them ones that stayed on him, respected his space or whatever the case may be, but he stayed on him. Had a point guard, couldn't be stopped. When I tell you he couldn't be stopped, he couldn't be stopped. Now, he had some attitude issues, but he couldn't be stopped. Had another backup point guard who was actually better than the starting point guard. Because of his mindset, he just wasn't as athletic. But when I put him on the court, when he was on the court, he ran that thing like a well-oiled machine. Had one guy, best player on the team, was the quarterback. He was the best athlete in the school. Couldn't really get him to stay focused in practice, but when game time, yeah, I know we talking about practice, not the game. We talking about practice, not the game. Practice couldn't get him to stay focused for nothing, not nothing. He doing everything but practicing. As soon as he touched that court, game time, it's like, so you was listening, you was just messing with me. Executed everything we asked him to do. And when things broke down, either him or the point guard was going to do what they needed to do, or they dump it into the post. So I'm saying all that to say, we won the city championship. I think we went like 16-1, only lost one game. And the games we did win, we won by like double digits a lot. So, no, I take that back. Not the city championship, but they was one of the best teams. They won the district. They were one of the best teams in the city. Like, they was one of the top 5 middle schools in the city, based off of watching them play in, just by everybody else ranking them from the outside, because you have a lot of these people that come in and watch these middle schoolers play and see where they're going to go. So The only game we lost. We was up double digits, right? We were up double digits. And I have this thing called. I had two plays called. One play was 50. One play was 50 hot. One play was 50. 50 hot, full court press all the time. I'm sorry, every made basket, full court press. 50 hot, 50 half court press. When I'm backing them off of you, I'll call 50, but they finna press you as soon as you get across the line. And there wasn't a lot of kids who were good ball handlers in middle school at the time. So when I'm 50 hot, we getting easy layups. So we were blowing this team out, right? Blowing this team out. And coach was like, hey, man, this game, because you don't have to deal with the criticism. I do. Let's back up off of them a little bit. Let's just back up off of them just a little bit. All right. Backed up. They started coming back. You want me to call 50 hot now? Nah, don't call 50 hot now. Gotcha. Kept coming back. Next thing you know, I looked up and they're back in the game. And I'm saying to myself, like, I can deal with the criticism, coach. If you need, tell them, direct them to me. But now look, we ended up losing the game, the only game we ever lost. And after that, he said, I would never, ever mess with your defensive calls ever again. Never. So every time I got up on the team, I stayed 50 hot until I was like, all right, 50. But if they scored 2 consecutive baskets, 50 hot. I say all that to say, it is not my responsibility to coach your team. It is not my responsibility. And that's how I look at games. If a team that I'm rooting for, I put it like this, the Dallas Cowboys got blew out by the Philadelphia Eagles last week. The Detroit Lions blew out the Dallas Cowboys. You think I'm mad about that? Hell no. If you can beat them, and beat them in convincing fashion. It is not, you can't do Mike McCarthy's job. So as I digress, Bobby, let CJ cook. And what I mean by let CJ cook, and I don't care how many points you put up on these next 3 opponents who are winnable games. So what? So what? You beat them 40-10. So what? It is your job to coach your team, not the other team. I don't care about the other coaches' feelings. I don't care about the other players' feelings. I don't care about you getting mad talking about y'all trying to run up the score on us. Then you should have tried to match the score. Let CJ cook. Score as much as you can, which brings me to another point. Score touchdowns, not field goals. You need a blowout win. The Houston Texans need a blowout win. They got one of those against the New England Patriots. You need another one. Actually, if we keeping it 100 right here on Sports Talk with Big Sarge, you need 3 consecutive. You get that offense going so you can get some plays that you can see on film and on tape that you know will work, even if they're switching up the defensive schemes with these other teams that you're going to play later on, who's going to be better competition than what you're about to play the next 3 games. Hey, it don't matter. It definitely does not matter. Do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to make sure that you are scoring touchdowns. Field goals, of course. Remember what we said the other day? Hey, Kaimi Fairbairn should be, in case of an emergency, break the glass. Other than that, you need to be blowing these teams out. And in order to blow these teams out, and in order to get some type of offensive rhythm, you need touchdowns and not field goals. If you're scoring field goals against the Dallas Cowboys, then you may win the game, but that's a loss. Because the Dallas Cowboys have a bottom feeder type defense. Their defense is horrible. We've talked about this. Their defense is not good at all. They have some good players on the defensive side of the ball, but you need to be scoring touchdowns this week. You definitely need a blowout win. The defense needs to make the Cowboys quarterback uncomfortable. So I don't know if Cooper Rush or Trey Lance is starting, but whoever it is, you need to make them uncomfortable. Even if Will Anderson Jr. isn't able to go, and I would, even if Will Anderson was 70% this week, 70, 75%, I still wouldn't put him on the field. I would wait until next time in order. I mean, I'm sorry, probably the next game or maybe the third game out of this 3-game stretch. Or hell, I may even hold him over into longer than that. But at least I would hold him out because you also have the players that should be able to make the Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks uncomfortable, whichever one of them is playing. You have the defensive personnel to be able to stop the run game. I mean, Mike McCarthy just named the running back the other day. Like that's how that's how unorganized and disarray that the Dallas Cowboys organization is, starting from the top all the way down. Hell, they don't even know what's going on half the time. Only thing they know is the checks ain't late. And as long as the checks ain't late, then they just gonna keep on, keep playing the way, just showing up. Jerry making sure they stay paid. That's what you got to do. So the defensive, and especially getting Mario Edwards back, you have the defensive personnel to be able to make that the quarterbacks uncomfortable, and you should be able to force him into some more turnovers. There should be some more interceptions this week. Should be some strip sack fumbles. You got to make them uncomfortable. Never let Cooper Rush get into a rhythm. Never. Because he isn't a quarterback that's going to beat you with his legs. He isn't a quarterback that's going to beat you with his arm. He's going to be a quarterback that will dink and dunk you if that dink and dunk is available. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, he didn't throw a pass over 10 yards. And you played against a quarterback that just last week and who doesn't like to throw the ball deep, except he's way better than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is like the generic version, generic. Like I wouldn't even say like it. Cooper Rush is probably he not even the Walmart brand of Jared Goff. If Jared Goff was Polo, you got Polo player on there, right? Then Cooper Rush is what is the other one? The Polo Association. My kids used to call it Polo Assassination because it's an assassination on Polo if you ever wear that. Like Jared Goff would be the Polo player where you can see his whole face and all his feet and his hands and the horse's face. I digress. If CJ's going to cook, then Joe Mixon and Tank Dell need to eat. If CJ is cooking, then that means that Joe Mixon and Tank Dell needs to eat. And the reason why I said Tank Dell is because of what we talked about on Wednesday's show. On the opposite side of Nico Collins, who will be matched up with Trayvon Diggs, on the opposite side of that, then guess what you have? You have Kalen Carson's a rookie trying to hold the Houston Texans #2 wide receiver. And let me tell you this, Kalen Carson cannot hold Tank Dell. He can't. He can't. And they've never been matched up against each other. But I've watched Kalen Carson, and I know that he cannot stop Tank Dell. Not in a one-on-one. No, he cannot. And so with that being said, you've got to let him eat. And while Tank is eating, that's going to open up the run game for Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, with the Houston Texans averaging 119 rush yards per game, and the Dallas Cowboys giving up 152 rush yards per game. They got the 31st worst run defense in the league. This is your time. This is your time to run angry. And Joe, listen. Let me say this, y'all. Against the Lions, Joe only had 56 rushing yards. But if you go back and you watch the game and you do the film study, and you watch the game, Joe could have had 100 yards rushing. He missed some holes. He missed some holes that was created that he normally doesn't miss. But he missed some holes that he could have got through and gained more yards. Like going back and watching the film, and I know like I'm playing Monday morning quarterback, but I think that Joe Mixon left. He left about 50 yards on the field too. Because some of those runs, if he gets up the field, and I don't know what he's looking at, I don't. I had to ask him. But if he gets up the field, them some big games. Those are some big games. And so you got to this week make sure that you're looking at the holes that are opening up for you by the offensive line. Because I mean, hey, the run offense, the run blocking for the Houston Texans wasn't that good. The pass blocking was better, but now if we got to see if you can get both of those things together. So let CJ cook, let Mixon and Tank Dell eat. Defense should make quarterbacks uncomfortable, score touchdowns, not field goals. You need a blowout win, and you got to contain Michael Parsons. I think that goes without saying. That goes without saying. We all know who Michael Parsons is. We all know what Michael Parsons can do. So you've got to be able to stop Michael Parsons and don't let him become disruptive. And this is where you're going to need Titus Howard and Laramie Tunsil to be on the A++ game. You need them to be on their A++ game, because if they're not on their A++ game, why does this look crooked? There we go. If they're not on their A++ game, then what's going to happen is Michael Parsons is going to become disruptive. And if he becomes disruptive and he's making it hard for CJ in the pocket, you're going to be right back to square one. So I would even say double team Michael Parsons in some instances. I would even say keep a back in the backfield or put in a tight end to chip on either side. And if you got one in the game and you got him lined up on the right side, but Michael Parsons on the left side, put him in motion. Get him over here. This is going to be the week where Jared Patterson is going to have to call out the protection. He's going to have to call out the protection early on. And they're going to have to all be on the same page, because Michael Parsons also will start on the end and move his way all the way to the inside. One of the things that the Houston Texans offensive line has had trouble with this year is stunts. And one thing that Parsons does outside of bull rushing is stunts. And he's fast. So when he's stunting, he's moving. If you don't get a hand on him, it's going to be a long day. He is one of them ones that CJ get out the pocket, he'll go get him. He will go get him. Listen, for as much as you hate the Dallas Cowboys, and I know a lot of you all do, a lot of you all that's in this in here right now, you do hate the Dallas Cowboys. I get it. I got it. But if you're going to say that Michael Parsons isn't one of the best at his position, then I don't even know if we can talk football. If you don't think that Michael Parsons can be disruptive if he's not stopped against against the Houston Texans on Monday night, then I don't even know if we can talk football. Like, what are we doing? The proof is in the pudding. He's been hurt. He's come back. He's going to be one of those ones that is looking. And, him and CJ, they got this friendly rivalry going on. They're really good friends, but they want to talk trash to each other. They want to talk trash to each other. So this game may mean a little bit more to him. He may be a little bit more motivated, because it ain't like it ain't like the Cowboys playing for nothing. I think their record is what, 3-6? They ain't playing for nothing but the first pick. Mike McCarthy is a lame duck coach right now. Him and the rest of his coaching staff. If Mike McCarthy comes back and Mike Zimmer comes back, I will tell you I'm done. I'm done. I'm not gonna burn my Dallas Cowboys apparel, but I am going to burn my Dallas Cowboys fandom until they do the right thing. You may be able to get me back, you may not. I was almost there this year with Mike McCarthy. And then you bring in Mike Zimmerman. Did you not see the way he called defense before he left the league? Why are you going out and getting these relics, Jerry? See, that's what I don't understand when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Because Jerry, is your mind still stuck in the 80s? I don't know. I digress. Before I get to my next point, hold on. No, I need to go back. I need to look at these because I see something is brewing. I mean, something is being talked about over here. I was seeing it, but I couldn't stop doing that. If Bobby say drink water, CJ better open up a bottle of Crown. I tweeted that CJ should do the opposite of everything Slowick says. You know who be doing that, right? Aaron Rodgers. Then he acts like he can't hear the plays. You're right. They're being very conservative, which is the opposite of last year. They was going for it on fourth downs, now being more aggressive. Yep. Hold on, let me see what else we got. The way you grow up reflect how you coach. So how do the coaches relate to the players? Hey, Kent, like drop it in the comments. I need you to elaborate a little bit more. I'm not understanding. I understand the way you grow up reflect how you coach. I get that part, but I don't understand that. So how do the coaches relate to the players? Let me see. I went to Wilson Shotwell and went to Eisenhower School. You went to Wilson, Marcus? How you know I used to teach at Wilson? How you know I used to teach at Wilson? How you know I used to, you know what? You know too much about me, blood. Hey, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I'm just joking. I was in the same situation at Hoffman Middle School at Aldine. Hoffman. Hey, Hoffman, that's the black and the yellow, right? That's what Hoffman is? Shotwell is green and yellow. Hoffman is black and yellow, right? Hoffman down the street from Lil Ike, right? Unpopular opinion. How about holding the players accountable? Get their head out of their asses. Come to work. Come to work. You can't be effing and sling all night, party, etc. Then expect to perform. Jordan Houston can get a hold of these athletes and mess up their priorities. I've seen it over and over. All Dean bad boys, all day state champs, headhunters, Garden City. What you know about Garden City? They call me Mr. Nobody. What you know about Garden City? I used to be in Garden City all the time when they was going on that state championship run back in the 90s. Boy, Garden City. I used to come from the southwest side and spend the weekend in Garden City. That was before they built a jail over there. Then I had to go. I was like, y'all doing too much. Y'all doing too much over here. Let me see. Bobby's scheme is simple. Big plays till we cross the 50-yard line, then slow it down. Yes. And that's what they've been talking about as well. Tank has talked about it. CJ has talked about it. Bobby has talked about it, which I'm like, you're the one that can change it. And DeMeco has talked about it. They move the ball, but then once they get past the 50-yard line, get past the 40, then all of a sudden they get so conservative because they're in Kaimi Fairbairn's range. No, keep trying to score. And if you don't, then you roll him out. Let me see. Now, these sports balls are going to be wild on Monday night. Yep. This offense been cooking Walmart wings. Hopefully they start cooking from scratch instead. Hey, you heard that, Corey? You heard that? Cowboys announced it's Cooper Rush. Then they definitely need to tee off on him. The coaches need to get out of their own way to utilize their pieces. I believe CJ should be calling his own plays. Exactly. Hey, thanks for your subscription. I appreciate that. I do believe that as well. I think CJ is at the point where he can call his own plays. Let me see. Cooper is the Family Dollar brand to golf. Exactly. I have no confidence in this team. Bad teams always look good against us. So Jay Adams, 1993. This is a really interesting take. And the reason why I'm keeping it up here for a second is because it's not just the Texans, though. It's not just the Texans that have played down to their competition as far as bad teams concerned. And the Texans have gotten some wins against some bad teams. The only bad team they've lost to was the Jets. The other three teams are from the toughest division in the NFL as far as the NFC North is concerned. And they had the Packers on the rope. They should have beat them. They had the Lions on the rope, the best team in the NFL. They should have beat them. And then the Minnesota game, they just lost. They just got flat out beat. But when you say bad teams always look good against us, you remember a couple of weeks ago, the 1-6 Cleveland Browns beat the Baltimore Ravens, who is like the third or fourth best team in the NFL. This past weekend, I just watched the Minnesota Vikings beat the Jacksonville Jaguars without Trevor Lawrence 12-7. It took 4 field goals. They couldn't even score a touchdown, and they got Justin Jefferson. Which, by the way, side note, because I said this on Locked On Texans, so I'm going to say this again. I'm gonna reiterate this point. You can go to the Locked On Texans and listen to what John and I had to say a little bit more about the situation. What DeMeco and Matt Burke on the defensive side of the ball needs to do this week as well. One of the keys to victory, and this is an additional key to victory, is you need to go back and you need to watch how the Minnesota Vikings offense used Justin Jefferson against the Houston Texans. They moved him around a lot. And that's exactly what the Dallas Cowboys do with CeeDee Lamb. He'll line up in the slot. He'll line up on the outside. Sometimes they'll bring him out of the backfield. They'll run a sweep with him. They'll run a reverse with him. They'll do everything that they possibly can to make sure that he has the ball in his hands. Exactly what the Minnesota Vikings was doing with Justin Jefferson. And then when they got up to a comfortable lead, then they didn't have to do it anymore because of the league that they had built on the Houston Texans. You can't allow players like Kadar Holman, and this is if Kamari Lassiter doesn't come out of concussion protocol and he's not able to go on Sunday. But you can't allow matchups between D'Angelo Ross or Kadar Holman or Jalen Petrie to be locked up one-on-one against CeeDee Lamb, because he's going to win that matchup every time against those players. You can't have a mistake like you did against the New York Jets by putting Jalen Petrie one-on-one with Devontae Adams, because the results will probably be the same. As soon as they see that mismatch, and if you're not going to give any over-the-top help, then that means that CeeDee Lamb is going to take advantage of that one-on-one. So just like I said on the Locked On Texans podcast, what I would do is I wouldn't even let Derek line up anywhere. I would just have him just, standing next to the linebackers. And when they break the huddle, whatever side CeeDee Lamb is on, then that's where Derek Stingley should be. They put him in a slot. Oh, well, let him get in the slot too. Or if he gets into the slot, have a plan to where he can be doubled in the slot. Never leave him one-on-one with Jalen Petrie. He gets lined up with Jalen Petrie, then you need to have some type of other help on him. But wherever CeeDee Lamb is, Derek Stingley Jr. should be in the vicinity. He should be around. He should be somewhere. He should be lurking. If he's not matched up on him, put him on the same side that he's on. Because if you don't, this ain't a game to say my defense is better than your offense and we're just going to go with whatever we can do. No, this isn't one of those games. This is a game that if you give Cooper Rush confidence and allow him to get the ball into CeeDee Lamb's hands, then you're going to have a very tough time, especially if you're only scoring field goals and not touchdowns on the other side. Make sure Derek Stingley Jr. is in the area of wherever CeeDee Lamb is. Bobby Story should be a high school offense coordinator for real. Let's just go get Jay Johnson, the offensive play caller. Right? I'm not sure what they're doing, but as Big Sarge mentioned, numbers don't lie. Get past his stature and look at what he's been able to accomplish. He was number 1 in passing yards. Y'all think they keep Mechie going or Woods at wide receiver 3? I think they're going to use both of them like that. Let me see. Exactly. It should look like we're playing the Washington Generals on Monday. Um, let me see. You got to feed the hot hand, take the reins off Mitchell, and let that man ball out. And wide receiver 3 is a mismatch against any. Yes, and the Cowboys have bad safeties. Donovan Wilson can't cover AT&T Stadium. If they said get in front of and cover AT&T Stadium, you'll see him over there by what is it called? Globe Life Stadium. That's where the Rangers play. You're like, what are you doing way over here? We told you to cover the AT&T Stadium. What are you doing over here at the Ranger Stadium? What are you doing here? Oh, my bad. He's horrible in coverage. What you want to see from this game, Sarge, from both sides, from the media and as a Cowboy fan. I'm not looking for anything as a Cowboy fan, Scrooston Ghost, because I don't go in there as a Cowboys fan. Last time they played was what, 2022? When I was in that game, I wasn't a fan. The only time you know what, I was not a fan the game, but I can't say that I wasn't I didn't have a fan moment. The only time I had a fan moment when the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans played the last time is when the right tackle Steele got hurt. When Steele went down, I said, from a fan's perspective, oh, that's gonna hurt. Because he's one of their best offensive linemen, if not the best offensive lineman that they have. And losing him is going to hurt. And it did. It hurt the Dallas Cowboys that year. But that's the only time I had a fan thought is when he got hurt. I said, ooh, that's not going to be good going forward. Other than that, I was unbiased like I've always been. Larry Tunsil will have at least 5 false starts to keep this thing interesting. All right. Let me see. Let me find out, Cheryl at Wilson and Miss Walker from Shotwell. The Texans are the ultimate roller coaster team. Extreme highs and extreme low. There's no in between. Relatability is essential to communication. Chemistry is lacking with slow play calling. His players disagree with his coaching. No trust. Oh, my bad. I meant Monday. What did I say? Sunday? My bad. I meant Monday. You know what, Big Sarge, you're the right person. Has ties with Houston and Dallas to find out what happened to the Governor's Cup. We need to get that cup back up on the mountain. If the Texans lose, it's going to be a rough week for this team. It's going to be a rough week everywhere. If the Texans lose to the Dallas Cowboys, it's going to be a rough week for the city of Houston. Because them Cowboy fans going to talk some trash on the radio. They're going to go crazy. And I'm saying to myself, good Lord, it's going to be bad. All right. Let me jump into this other thing right quick right here. And once again, you're tuning into the Freestyle Friday edition of the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. And I said at the top of the show, pick a struggle in your DeMeco Ryans criticism. Now, we all know what went on for the last couple of days, and with the statement that Paul Gallant from ESPN5 said. Then when Joe George came back, he's also the co-host of it's the Gallant and George show on ESPN 97.5. And just like I said on Twitter yesterday, I'm gonna say it again right here so some of you all can clip it up and make sure you have it for your archives and your files. I have no issues and no problems with anybody at ESPN 97.5. Not one. I don't have an issue with Paul Gallant. I don't have an issue with Joe George. I don't have an issue with Jeremy Branham. I do not have. Do we go back and forth, all three of us, at times? Of course we do. I don't have an issue with them at all because I don't let sports get personal. I don't let sports get personal. So I don't have like whatever they have as far as their sports takes are concerned, and I'll say it. Hey, look. Hey, I respect your opinion. I just disagree with it. And so Paul and I was on Spaces yesterday before his show. Shout out to Corey and that whole group, the group chat that they run those Texan Spaces. over there, and I was in there, and Paul and I got a chance to, to talk. It wasn't any animosity, and this was after I had did that morning show on Thursday. And so as time went on, some of the people didn't like the discourse of what I was saying. And it's cool. It's cool. And if you take this personal of what I'm about to say, so I don't care. If you take it personal, hey, go to Walmart, pick you up some wings and get you some fillings. Like pick you up some wings because Corey said they're amazing. Get you some wings and get you some fillings. Because I don't care if you take this personal or not. It doesn't matter to me. I'm good either way. Sometimes I think what I say goes over a lot of people's head and they can't, it doesn't click in and it doesn't, they can't relate to it, but they're listening, they're listening or they're reading to respond instead of comprehending. So you're hearing what I'm saying, but instead of comprehending it, you're formulating a response before you can even comprehend what I'm saying. And then you spit back out your response, and then you look like an idiot later on down the line when you comprehend it. I tell people all the time, read and listen to comprehend, not to respond. Because sometimes you can comprehend something and it doesn't require a response. All it requires is a, hey, damn, that's cool. No, that's good. It also, just like we talked about on Thursday's show, some of y'all have a air fry microwave mentality. You don't have an oven mentality. And that's the crazy part about it is because you get so mad at me and you don't listen to what I'm saying. You don't listen to what I'm saying and you want it instant. You want to respond instantly. You're not listening to what I'm saying until 2 weeks down the line and finally hits you when the meal is ready in the oven instead of the microwave. You be like, damn, Sarge made a good point. Sarge made a damn good point. So on Thursday, right? I didn't respond to what Paul Gallant actually said per se, but what I said was it sounds a lot like the Fire Dusty crowd. And that movement was really brought about on the Killer Bees show, and Jeremy Branham pushed that. He pushed it. I'm not telling you something that I haven't said to Jeremy. I'm not saying nothing that I haven't said online. So what I said was that narrative that started that narrative with the Fire Dusty that started off small, then picked up steam, but couldn't sustain because Dusty was still winning. Then that flamed out. But the way you all started it, it just didn't work out that way. So what I was saying on yesterday, when I was correlating the Fire Dusty crowd to the what is DeMeco Ceiling crowd, is you're starting that conversation now, planting the seed. And if it grows into what you want it to grow into, now you can come back and say, I have been saying this. I have been saying this. I have been asking what is the ceiling for DeMeco Ryans. I have been saying it because you say, what is the ceiling? And if DeMeco steadily declines, as you all put it, if he declines as far as coaching is concerned, then you get to that point now where you're like, well, I tried to tell y'all this last year. This is an old trick. It's an old trick. It's an old media trick. It's a media trick. So no, yes, you can come back and stand and say, hey man, I didn't say fire Dusty. I didn't say fire DeMeco. I just asked what his ceiling is, even though he's only coached in 29 games, even though he's only been a head coach for a year and a half. It's still not wrong. And some other people agree. Some other people agree with Paul and saying it's not too early to ask. I disagree because I feel like it is. I feel like it's too early to ask. To me, it's too early to ask. And if you are asking that, then why aren't you using last year's results? Shouldn't DeMeco Ryans have been NFL Coach of the Year last year? Didn't his rookie quarterback win NFL Rookie Offensive Player of the Year? Didn't his edge rusher win NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year? Didn't he almost win Head Coach of the Year? Wasn't AFC South championship, especially after they had only won a combined 11 games, 3 years, a combined 11 games in 3 years, and they won the AFC South, and then they won a wild card game, and then they took the best team at the time in football to a 10-10 tie in the divisional round. Like if you're gonna say if you're asking what is his ceiling here now because of the way that some of these games have gone, then why not throw in what he already did? And that's why I said, hey, look, man, it is entirely too early because we're seeing both. We're seeing the success, and then we're seeing some adversity. We're seeing some turmoil and some strife. We're seeing both. How can you ask what that question is when did you ask that? Why didn't you ask that question after year one? If it's never too early to ask the question, then why not ask it when he's having success? Why are you asking when the team is going through adversity? Am I not making sense? Does that not make sense? Because this year, if you're pushing that narrative of, hey man, what can his ceiling be? Because I mean, we've seen he's gaslighted the media and he's done this and he's done that. All those negative things that were said. Hey, if we're doing that now, then why didn't we do it when he was successful? Which, as I digress, brings me back to the original thing that I said is you're saying it now so you could try to be right later on if it doesn't work out. That's what Fire Dusty was. That's the exact same blueprint Fire Dusty was. Y'all remember what Dusty was? What Dusty was what was that? The COVID year, right? The COVID year, they went 29-31, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, that COVID year, they went 29-31. And then they still went to the ALCS, came back after being down 3-1 and took the Tampa Bay, I think it was the Tampa Bay Rays to game 7 of the ALCS. During that time that they were underachieving, everybody kept asking, was Dusty the right person for this team? Well, hey, is Dusty the right person for this team? Look at his previous stops and what he's done and blase this and blase that. Is he the right person for this team? And then they go to the ALCS. And then they go to the World Series and lose. And then they go to the World Series and win. And then they go to the ALCS and lose. And then you're saying to yourself, now you're saying to yourself, no matter how we kept pushing this Fire Dusty narrative, it just didn't work out. But at the height of his success, you still were trying to push the Fire Dusty narrative because you wanted it to be wrong. With DeMeco Ryans and what is going on now is you want him, and while the team is going through some adversity and while they're going through some turmoil and some strife, you want to plant this. What's his ceiling now? What is the ceiling for DeMeco? Let's plant that now, Because whether we're right or we're wrong, we could always fall back on the premise of well, all we were doing was asking the question, right? Whether we're right or wrong, all we could do is follow the premise of we were just asking the question. But if we're right, now we can elaborate and we could talk about we were the first ones to say we seen it coming. I shouldn't have had to break that down for you like that for a lot of you all. Hey, Gare Bear, are you listening? Hey, Gare Bear, you listening, right? Gare Bear. I mean, that's what they call you. Gary, they call you Gare Bear. Sarge can't call you Gare Bear. Oh, I can't because you hate me, right? Yeah, I heard it. I heard what you said, my guy. Doesn't affect me, doesn't bother me at all, because I don't even know who you are. You can walk up to me to face and be like, hi, I'm Gary. And I'm like, hello, how you doing, sir? I would do that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know who this dude is from Adam. I digress. Getting back to well, you know what? Hold on. It's Freestyle Friday. Let's go through some of these comments. Let me go through some of these comments before I keep going. Yes, exactly. People start putting up a Christmas tree now. John, the co-host of the Locked On Texas podcast, was singing Christmas songs on IG. I was like, are you crazy? No one should be surprised if we lose because Texans are going to Texans, but we shouldn't lose. What up, AD? Exactly. Listen to respond and not listen to understand. Exactly. Miko is our Bill Cowher, and I'm in for the long haul. Exactly. Jeremy B wanted Will Levis to be the Texas quarterback. So what his opinion really were? Hey, Jeremy, I'm sorry, bro. You're never going to live that down. You're never going to live down the fact that you wanted Will Levis to be the Houston Texans quarterback. I'm sorry. Like, and I'm not saying nothing that don't nobody know. Like, it's out there. It's documented. You had said it, and you said it on multiple occasions. Hey, didn't you drink coffee with mayonnaise in it? Oh, maybe that was Dan Orlowski. It was somebody from ESPN that did it. Exactly. I'm just asking questions, right? Fans forget really fast where we came from as an organization. We are 15 months into a rebuild with a new coach and a new quarterback. We are ahead of schedule. Just RELAX. Relax. Good point. Good point, Sarge, on DeMeco. But you also highlighted the Texans' second half problems go way back to the Ravens game. Their play this year is an extension of that. The Patriots game is an anomaly. Yep, you're right. Majority of these media members are only concerned with being right because they think it'll make them look like genius. It's the Colin Cowherd condition. And didn't Colin Cowherd have to come back and apologize on what he said about CJ Stroud? DeMeco is learning how to be a head coach. He will grow. The only real issue I have is how long he's stuck with Kenya. Hey, D Skills, let me hold on. Do I have that on my paper? I don't, but I'll address that real quick, D Skills. One of the reasons why DeMeco stuck with Kenya so long is because, they say you don't lose your position to injury. In football, at least, they like, hey, you don't lose your position to injury. And Kenya sat out all last season. He came back. Had to give him an opportunity to get himself reacclimated to not only playing in the NFL, not only playing the offensive guard position, but also learning Bobby Slowick's system. Remember last time Kenyon played in a game, he wasn't playing for Bobby. Last time Kenyon Green played in a regular season game, his offensive coordinator was Pep Hamilton, right? Pep Hamilton was his coordinator, right? If I'm not mistaken, it was Pep. And so what DeMeco did was give a young man an opportunity to, to keep his position. And he knew that he was going to go through growing pains after sitting out a year of not playing football. You got to come back and get yourself reacclimated, and that's not easy. You got to get yourself to game shape, and now you got to get yourself used to playing with a whole. Listen, the last quarterback that Kenyon had played with was Davis Mills. And now you're playing with a whole different quarterback in CJ Stroud. You got to learn a whole different thing. All the while playing next to a center that you got to get to learn to play with as well. I think the last center that Kenyon played with was what, Scott Quessenberry? So that was still the only and a new running back, and Joe Mixon. Gotta learn how he runs. So the only familiarity that Kenyon had coming back was Laramie Tunsil, right? That's the only thing from that was familiar to him coming back on playing on his side of the ball. So with that being said, what DeMeco did was gave him an opportunity. Gave him an opportunity. And when he gave him that opportunity, he let him play for as long as he could, and then he pulled him. Now, this whole narrative, and this is what I tweeted earlier. Well, this is what I tweeted earlier this morning. You know, some of these people around here, some of these media members are saying that the only reason Kenyon Green got pulled from the lineup was because he got hurt in the Jets game. And that's false. That's false. That is not that's not what was happening. Not what happened. Kenyon Green got pulled. Kenyon Green got pulled. Which game was that Jared Patterson played in? But then Jared Patterson was in, and then he got a concussion. You remember? Kenyon Green got pulled for a performance in that game. AD, what game was that Jared Patterson came in? Was that the Colts game? Was that the Colts game that Jared Patterson came in and replaced Kenyon Green and then got hurt when Joe Mixon scored that touchdown and then he went into concussion protocol? Kenyon Green wasn't hurt. Kenyon Green wasn't hurt. Kenyon Green, thank you, it was the Colts. Kenyon Green was pulled out of the Colts game for a performance, and he would have stayed on the sideline had it not been for him sustaining a concussion. So it wasn't the Jets game that took DeMeco, that the light went off in DeMeco's head and said, finally, I cannot play him. Now, he was replaced in the Colts game for performance. Patterson got hurt. He had to be put back in. The second chance Kenyon Green got was they played the Colts that Sunday. Then they had to backdoor and play the Jets that Thursday. So it was a short week. Kendrick Green was going to start in place of Kenyon Green. He was going to start in place of Kenyon Green. If you've been listening to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show, you heard me go, hee! I dropped that right here. He was going to replace, but the week was so short and the practices were so limited. They played the Colts. They practiced on Monday, practiced on Tuesday, traveled on Wednesday, played on Thursday. The turnaround to making the move was too quick. It was entirely too quick. And so, with that being said, they left Kenyon in the starting lineup, and then he got hurt. And now he's on IR. It did not take Kenyon Green getting hurt. It did not take Kenyon Green getting hurt for DeMeco to pull him out of the lineup. He had already been pulled out of the lineup. If Jared Patterson does not get hurt, he replaces Kenyon Green. And him and Kendrick Green share the responsibilities at that left guard position. That was a week prior to him getting hurt. The short week, the short turnaround was the reason why Kenyon Green started over Kendrick Green, because the turnaround was too quick. So when you start criticizing, which brings me to my next point, please pick a struggle in your DeMeco Ryans criticism. When you go to criticize him and you don't have all the facts and you don't have everything that you need to make your point, when you're talking you're trying to talk from a fact-based stance when it's really just your opinion. Like, you need to let people know up front it's just your opinion. In your opinion, you felt like that it took Kenyon Green getting hurt in order for DeMeco Ryans to finally make a move at the left guard position. When in reality and in facts, the move had already been made. But that's the thing. They use that to try to talk down on DeMeco when I'm really saying, hey, it's right there. It's right there. And the crazy part about it is some people that cover the Houston Texans that are in the building, that are around the people, are pushing that narrative, and I'm saying you're in the building. You're just not talking to the right people, or the right people aren't talking to you. So you could push that narrative as an opinion based. I'm going to tell you the facts. Now, as I digress, right? And I'll just address that because it was brought up in the comments. Please pick a struggle in your DeMeco Ryans criticism. Because the thing that I'm hearing now, right? The things that I'm hearing right now is this. DeMeco is not an offensive-minded coach, and he needs to get on the offensive side of the ball and make things happen, blase this, blase that. Hey, what coach is both? What coach is offensive-minded and defensive-minded? Oh, well, the Texans should have never hired DeMeco because he's a defensive-minded coach, and you knew that you had to draft a quarterback. And if you knew that you were going to get a quarterback in here like C.J. Stroud, he needs an offensive-minded coach in order to help lead this team. Then what are you going to do about the defense? What coach is both? What coach is both offensive-minded and defensive-minded? Let's throw out a couple of examples. Andy Reid. You think Andy Reid gets involved in the defense? Even when players aren't playing the way that they're supposed to play, you think that Andy Reid gets involved and makes the changes that some of y'all want made on the offensive side of the ball? You think Andy Reid gets involved in that? Or you think Andy Reid just focuses on the offensive side of the ball? Don't worry. I'll wait. Dan Quinn, Washington Commanders coach. You think he gets involved in both sides of the ball? Or do you think he just pretty much worries about the defensive side of the ball and left Cliff Kingsbury worry about the offensive side of the ball? Like he let Cliff Kingsbury do what he needs to do on the offensive side of the ball, and he just makes sure that the defense is okay. What coach does both? Kevin O'Connell for the Minnesota Vikings. Brilliant offensive mind. Brian Flores calls the defenses. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, calls the offensive plays. Has the offensive side of the ball doing what they need to do. Brian Flores calls the defense. Okay. So y'all didn't like Andy Reid. Y'all didn't like Dan. Y'all didn't like my Andy Reid example. Y'all didn't like my Dan Quinn example. Y'all didn't like my Kevin O'Connell example. Okay, well, let me ask you this. During the height of the New England Patriots Super Bowl runs, right? During the height of their Super Bowl runs, right? Bill Belichick was the head coach. Did Bill Belichick do both? Or did Bill Belichick have one of the best defenses in the league and then let other people call the offense? Other people who went on to get head coaching jobs. Did Bill Belichick, who is by far one of the top 5 all-time coaches that has ever coached in the NFL, Bill Belichick, during the Super Bowl runs that the New England Patriots had, you think he was over there messing around with the offense? There were some things. Did he have his input? Of course. But the New England Patriots won how many Super Bowls with a defensive-minded coach? Y'all not making sense to me. Y'all not making sense to me. Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle when you want to criticize DeMeco Ryans, because what the ones that I'm seeing, they don't make no sense to me. And I listen and I read to comprehend first before I respond. I need to intake it and look at it and see what it's saying before I say anything about it. I'm just asking, what coach does both? So when it comes to DeMeco Ryans, this is This is some of the things and the reasons why DeMeco is here, right? This is some of the reasons why DeMeco is here. But I'm going to start with what he's doing wrong, in my opinion, right? Let me start with what he's doing wrong, in my opinion, because don't get it twisted. DeMeco is not blameless. DeMeco is not without blame when it comes to some of the things that's going on this season with the Houston Texans. He's not without blame. And he's not without blame with some of the defensive things that he's done. We talked about earlier on how Jalen Petrie should have never been matched up with Devontae Adams on 3rd and 3, one-on-one with no over-the-top help. And you're running zero coverage. You're blitzing. You're going to put Jalen Petrie on Devontae Adams. That's your side of the ball, DeMeco. And like he said yesterday, it's easy for us to come back and say these things and what should have happened afterwards. But when you got to make that call in the heat of the battle, it could be something differently. That's cool. You're right. I'm only talking about it from a perspective of what I see. I'm not making the calls. You're right. But from what I see, I can say I didn't like the call. It looked like it was a mistake. Last week when the Detroit Lions were making their comeback, some way, somehow, Azeez Al-Shaair got locked up on Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's one of the best route runners in the NFL and somebody that Jared Goff really depends on. There's no possible way that they should have ever been matched up on each other. DeMeco, we'll say on the defensive side of the ball, he has made some mistakes. So I'm not here to put on a cape for DeMeco and say that he hasn't made mistakes, because he has. And one of the biggest, I don't want to call it flaws, but one of the things that is puzzling, one of the things that is mysterious to a lot of people who are criticizing DeMeco Ryans is, what is your blind loyal trust to a coach like Bobby Slowick? What is your loyalty to Bobby Slowick? We know that you're friends. We know that you all have been friends. We know that you all came up together in the 49ers organization. We know that you're friends on the field and off the field. But are you doing what's best for the team? If you're going to make those type of moves on the offensive line to shake things up, then shouldn't you be able to shake things up in the play calling room? And that has nothing to do with whether you're a defensive minded coach or an offensive minded coach. That's just like, hey, look, something ain't right. The Texans had one of the best defenses in the league, and they got one of the worst offenses in the league. They definitely have one of the worst second half offenses in the league. That can be criticized. Is that Bobby Slowick? Of course. But that's when people get to criticize DeMeco and say, okay, man, we've seen enough of this. 3.75 points average per game the last 4 games that you've played in the second. You've averaged 3.75 points in the second half in 4 games. That's just barely over a field goal. You gotta, some questions need to be answered. And the questions will be asked and have been asked, but they need to be answered as well. They need to be answered by DeMeco. So yes, you can. You can ask him that. You can ask him why the offense hasn't scored a touchdown in the second half in the last 4 weeks, yet Bobby still has full play calling duties. That's a question that can be asked. That's the thing. It has nothing to do with DeMeco being offensive minded or a defensive minded coach. That has everything to do with, hey, this is the problem that's being presented right here. What is the solution? And if you don't want to fire your friend mid-season, then you need to go to him. And if he's a friend, you got to say, hey, look, man, I love you as a friend. I hope we can still be cool after this. But business comes first. The team comes first. You're not getting it done. And there's a large enough sample size. This isn't something that has been happening in one game. This isn't something that's been happening in one game. Then you get it together for 3 games, and then you have a relapse, in the fourth game. If that's the case, if it was inconsistent, then DeMeco would have a leg to stand on. But if it was inconsistent as far as the second half play for the Houston Texans was concerned, then DeMeco would have a leg to stand on. But the fact that it's consistent and there's tangible numbers and there's things that you can see and you have a sample size of the last 4 games, now you can say to yourself, there's a problem, there's an issue, and it needs to be fixed. Okay, so you can talk about the injuries, not having Nico, not having Stephon. Okay, we should have still been able to get around that because we got a quarterback. If you put him in the right situation, he should be able to overcome that until we can get Nico back. Okay, you got some offensive line issues. Okay, cool. We're going to make some changes on the offensive line, and let's make sure that happens. All right, got it. All right, so now what you going to do on your part? How are we going to stop being so conservative? How are we going to stop being so conservative when we get past the 50-yard line? Why are we so conservative when we get to the red zone? Like, something else has to give, Bobby. And then that's when it falls on DeMeco. So DeMeco's not without blame. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that DeMeco has been a perfect coach since he's been here, since he's been with the Houston Texans. What I'm saying is this. On the flip side, I'm not going to even use how good the defense has been and how many games the defense has saved for the Houston Texans just this season alone. I'm not going to talk about how the defense has gone out and shut down or got the ball back for the offense to be able to put together game-winning drives. Not even talking about that. When you look at DeMeco Ryans, one of the very first things, one of the most important things, one of the things that does not have to do with wins and losses, and one of the main reasons why DeMeco was hired here was because the culture was terrible. Over the last 3 seasons before DeMeco got here, the culture was horrible. How do I know that? Because I was there every day. I talked to people in the organization. I talked to the players. That the mood around NRG was gloomy. It was always like it was a dark cloud that was over the stadium and over the practice facility. Even though the sun was out, the whole area off of Kirby that the Houston Texans have was horrible. Players was upset, coaches was upset, people was arguing with each other, people was fighting with each other, players doing what they want to do, not respecting the coaches getting mad at players because players telling them what's right, and then all of a sudden you want to say, you can't say that because I'm the coach and you not, even though you're right, but I'm still the coach and you don't get to tell me that. You got coaches' sons acting like they the head coach or they the general manager, overstepping their boundaries when it comes to certain things. You got the whole Deshaun Watson fiasco, starting with him not wanting to be a part of the organization, to his legal battles and everything that he was alleged to have done. You got Bill O'Brien leaving the franchise, setting it on fire, making sure that the next person that comes in has to rebuild it from the ground up because he was in his feelings. Because, yes, a lot of people respect you as a head coach. A lot of people respect your offensive mind, but you are a terrible general manager, horrible. You started setting NRG on fire when you traded D-Hop for a bag of peanuts and didn't even tell your franchise quarterback at the time that you were getting rid of his main weapon. So Bill O'Brien started that fire. Then you have Nick Caserio coming in here, and one of his first moves was to bring in David Culley. David Culley wasn't going to change no culture. David Culley had been a positions coach his whole life. Positions. That's it. and I'm not talking about I'm not here to talk about David Culley's intelligence. I'm not here to talk about his mindset, but like when you got a coach that after the first practice says they were huddled up, the team was huddled up, and I was standing on the side waiting on the head coach to come up and talk, and then I realized I was the head coach. When you got a head coach that says, I got on a sled just to see how that thing go because that was my first time in my whole NFL career being over there with the defense and seeing what they do. And then David Culley had a lot to deal with as well with this organization because it was bad. It was bad. And then you fire David Culley, and then well, first of all, Bill O'Brien was fired. Romeo Crennel finished the season. Then you bring in David Culley. Then after David Culley, you bring in Lovie Smith, who knew he had look, he knew he had the power when it came to it, because for as many times as the Houston Texans went out and did this head coaching search and hired a firm to bring in a head coach and almost was on the brink of hiring, well, Josh McCown, y'all don't know how close you all came to having Josh McCown as your head coach for the Houston Texans. I don't honestly think that you all know how close you were. I'm talking about like a Monday morning press conference away. I'm talking about Friday schedules for him to be in the building and for him to meet certain people and get acclimated and get himself situated for the press conference on Monday. I don't think a lot of you all realize how close you were. And next time you see defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, Brian Flores, you should thank him. Texas fans, y'all should thank him. Y'all should thank him for that lawsuit coming out. Know who else you should thank? You should thank, yes, Sarah. That's exactly what I said. Yep. That lawsuit came out. And you know who else you should thank? This one gonna hurt you. And I'm not gonna go into full details. You should thank Jerry Jones. Let me just say that. Texas fans, you should thank Jerry Jones for having DeMeco Ryans, because it was going to be Josh McCown. And then where you think he was going to be? Yeah. Brian Flores and Jerry Jones saved the Texans organization. I'm not telling you something I heard. I'm telling you something I know. As I digress, Bill O'Brien burned the franchise down. David Culley was a placeholder. Lovie Smith knew that he was going to be a one-year lame duck coach because he wasn't even supposed to have the job. Y'all don't remember when we asked Lovie Smith in the press conference, "Hey man, when did you know that you were going to be a candidate for this job?" He said, "I didn't until the last minute." He said, I didn't until the last minute. I ain't know. Do you know what that means? That means that Nick went to Lovie and was like, "Hey man, I need a favor. I need a favor." Lovie Smith knew he wasn't going to be here for a long period of time. That's why I don't get into when people start saying that the Houston Texans are a racist organization because they fired David Culley after 1 year and they fired Lovie Smith after 1 year. Those are people who have not really been around the organization or don't know or listen to their friend's mama's baby daddy, who only talk about sports when he had Papados. Wasn't a racial thing when it came to firing David Culley or Lovie Smith. They were placeholders. That's it. Well-paid placeholders. Well-paid placeholders. Had nothing to do with their skin color, had nothing to do with their racial makeup, had nothing to do with their ethnicity. They were nothing but placeholders. So now you get rid of Lovie Smith. The organization says, we're going to get this right. We're definitely going to make sure that our next hire is going to be here for a very long time, and we're going to bring somebody in here who's going to change the culture. We won't be the laughing stock of the NFL anymore. Boom. DeMeco Ryans. And now you have your answer. One of the main reasons that DeMeco Ryans was brought here, that had nothing to do with wins and losses, had everything to do with the McNairs knowing exactly what type of person they were getting, because they had drafted him and they had watched him throughout his career as far as the NFL was concerned, and then watched how he had ascended in the coaching ranks to the point where he was the defensive coordinator uh of the San Francisco 49ers. Nick knew that DeMeco's football mind was amazing. He knew that he was intelligent, but more importantly than any of that, they knew that DeMeco was going to come here and change the culture. They knew that he was going to come to Houston and rid that stench of the past 3 years. You were going to rid the stench of Bill O'Brien. You was going to rid the stench of Jack Easterby. You were going to rid the stench of Deshaun Watson. You were going to bring back and incorporate some of those former players who no longer wanted to have anything to do with the organization. You all remember the tweet from Andre Johnson, and Andre Johnson don't tweet at all. You all remember the tweet when he's like, what he tweeted? And if Andre Johnson comes out and says something publicly like that tweet, now you know that there is an issue. They hired DeMeco Ryans. That thing was like a party at his press conference. I mean, that media press conference room was packed. That team auditorium where they had the press conference, packed. You had people standing outside in the hallways waiting for the press conference to be over, because they knew that the culture changer had stepped into NRG. They knew that he was coming to change everything about that organization. And I'm going to be honest with you. The Houston Texans, and I know everybody loves Kubiak. I got that part. Hey, listen, I don't have a negative thing to say about Kubiak. I don't have nothing negative to say about Kubiak. Kubiak is not DeMeco. DeMeco has changed the entire culture of that franchise, starting from the team, and that's the players included, the staff, the coaches, the ops, hell, the ushers, security, parking, medical, food services, concessions. Am I the only one that remember the party that was thrown like when DeMeco got here? And that's what the organization needed, a change in culture. And then you go out and you get a player like CJ Stroud. Then you go out and you get a player like Will Anderson Jr. that can buy in to what DeMeco is saying and become an extension of him around the facility. Y'all don't remember when y'all don't remember when Will said that, one of the first things that we talked about when we got drafted here in our group text was changing the culture and changing the mindset around here. And we're not bigger than anybody around here. So when you're walking around and you see people that work here, you say hello, you speak, you talk to them. Yes, your job, yes, you are a professional football player, but you're no better than these other people when it comes to just being people. So when you see them, speak. You got to have a long conversation, but it costs you nothing to speak. And all of a sudden, you seen that black cloud started to lift from the Houston Texans. You started to see the black cloud lift from the Houston Texans practice facility. You started to see the black cloud lift from NRG Stadium. You started to see the black cloud lift from NRG Arena, from the Astrodome. Like that whole area on Kirby started to get bright again, because that's what DeMeco was brought in here to do, to change the culture and then win games. What did he do his first year? Changed the culture, and he won games. So what are we talking about here? Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle when you want to criticize him. If you're going to criticize him for the right things. Don't criticize him and say, we need to know what his ceiling is. Where is his ceiling? What? If you're going to criticize him on the defensive calls that he's made. Criticize him on the loyalty to Bobby Slowick. Criticize him on those type of things. But this criticizing him, come on, man. What are we doing here? Let me read these comments and get up out of here because I got some questions I need to ask Bobby myself. Y'all might want to tune in to if I get a chance to ask some questions, and I think I will. We're going to y'all gonna have a good one. All right. Good morning, Big Sarge. If the Texans go 9-4 before the bye week, I feel much comfortable going to the end of the season. Yep. What's up, Sarge? I'm late and going back to the beginning. Appreciate that, Jalen. My only problem with DeMeco is he will not travel Stingley on the best wideouts. He has to do that this week. Boys, you're making up like your old lady when she losing the argument. Thinking like a GM. Longer is a free agent at strong safety next year. DeMeco coached him to an all-pro level in 2022. Only 24 and could be a long-term replacement for Ward. Hey, they call me Mr. Nobody. That is a great take. Yeah, but they won't pay 2 strong safeties, and Ward already got paid for next year. Hey, if we know anything about, hold on, Brandon. If we know anything about the Houston Texans, I just told you David Culley was only here for 1 year. His contract was for way longer, and he's still getting paid. So is he might just stop getting paid, but he got paid to not be here. They don't mind paying no money for you to not be here. If they had an extended award already, that flexibility would be there. They'll find a way. Hey, Nick finds a way when he wants something. Those coaches mentioned struggle when they started off, just like DeMeco is now. As they learned, they went out and got top tier coordinators. DeMeco will evaluate at the end of the year, and that's the problem. That's all he needs to do is to get a good offensive coordinator in here, or use one of the ones he got on his staff. And y'all know what I mean by that. Problem is the offense was appearing all the way back in week 2. Nothing has been really adjusted. How many defensive coordinators who have become head coaches were successful at head coach? Hey, what was Bill Belichick? I'm not sure the percentage is very good in the NFL. What was Bill Parcells? It's a lot of defensive guys that went on to be really good. Dan Quinn was defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. He's doing very well over at Washington. I should think construct this line. Tulsa, Juice Patterson, Lyle. What about Zach Martin, Duke? Schematically speaking, Sloak is not a top tier coordinator. Chicago fired their OC midseason because they're in last place. They'll keep Bobby to the end of the season as long as they win a division. Yeah, I don't think no changes will be made as far as firing is concerned, but there may be some adjustments in the play calling. AD, where you at? Traded the pretty out spice. Same thing with Clowney and Dwayne Brown. Exactly. Yes, you are right. Who we was looking like that kid flooding on the first day of school? Yep. They don't know what. Hey, Senior Buble, how many people in here you think really know what flooding means? I know what it means. And now, but flooding is a trend now, right? That's what they're doing. Texas secondary is contradicted. They don't trust Petrie to cover outside wide receivers, so that affects Stingley's traveling. At the same time, Petrie barely can guard slot wide receivers. It's a good point. Appreciate the rant. Got some good nuggets from that. We knew about most of that. I almost forgot about the David Culley, Justin Reed disagreement, but I didn't know about the coach's son doing the most. Yeah, there was Lovey's son too. Bring in Kubiak's son to be the OC. Oh, Clint, the one that said New Orleans. You think they'll let him go? You think New Orleans gonna let him go? Or because they got a head coaching vacancy. They may make him the head coach. There was a time where they were hiring a lot of these head coaches that just barely had 1 year of offensive coordinator experience. DeMeco needs a coordinator with the same fire for offense he has for defense. Doug Peterson or Eric Bieniemy, because Doug Peterson is going to get fired. We can't be aggressive all 4 quarters. That's right. They're gonna let CJ ID his coverage. I'm hoping. I'm gonna ask some questions today. We need Bobby behind his offensive scheme. 100%. This is why I've been fighting for you. You keep it 100. I try to all the time. No, it's a long shot. We're going to go after Clint Kubiak or Will Stein next year for offensive coordinator if they pull the plug on Slowick next season. Aren't those two going to be in high demand for the head coaching jobs that are going to become available, though? Just like, especially Clint Kubiak, especially Clint. Clint can call a game. I'll tell you that right now. He just doesn't have what he needs. I thought he did. So they have a 7-inch with 1 point difference. Vegas knows something we don't. Yes, he was. How do we trust anyone over DeMeco in this organization if Josh McCown was the choice prior to DeMeco? You know what else? Like they didn't just call DeMeco and ask him to become a coach, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm ready. What do y'all need me to do?" No, they had to convince him. There was some convincing that had to go on. It wasn't just that DeMeco loves being here. DeMeco loves Houston. His wife and his kids love being in Houston. But it wasn't just they picked up the phone and say, "All right, DeMeco, we're ready for you to come home." And he said, "All right, I'll be there soon." Oh, it took some convincing. You don't think DeMeco was watching what was going on the outside as far as this organization is concerned? There had to be a talk, multiple talks on what was going to happen and what was the plan in place. DeMeco doesn't do anything without a plan. Nothing. I know that for a fact. Nothing. Bobby needs to move CJ around, not just with bootlegs and sprint outs. He needs to change the landing spots for CJ's dropping if he says he can't do that. That's why everyone else does. It's a good point, Texas Underground. I work at NRG Stadium for 4 years. Yep. Yeah. Bring in Zach Martin at the end of the season. They can get him after this game right. Damn, you're right, Sarge. They need Negro needed flooding. They don't know what flood mean, man. They think flooding is something that happened on the streets when it's really a fashion, something that has to do with fashion. So Zach Martin is 33. I don't know how I feel about him next season. You know, not a long. Now, I'm not saying Zach Martin for a long term, but maybe just get him here. Look, bring in Zach Martin, see how much he's going to cost for the next 2 years, and let him groom your next offensive guard. Watching Slowick almost made me ask for Tim Kelly. Oh my God, no more Tim Kelly, my God. No more Tim Kelly. All right, y'all. I'm about to get up out of here. I will be posting the clips from us talking to Bobby Slowick today. Because Bobby ain't the only one that got to answer questions for me. I got to ask Matt Burke about this. How did Aziz get caught up on Amon Ross St. Brown and what happened in the second half to let them score what they scored 19 unanswered points. Like I need to know that. Yes, Sarah, that's exactly what I said. Yep. I need to know what happened. So Bobby ain't the only one that has to answer to what went on. Matt got to answer about the defense, and then I had to talk to Frank about what happened on that exchange with Kaimi missed the 58-yard field goal. There's some questions that need to be answered, not only by DeMeco, but also by the coordinators as well. And so, with that being said, since we have a long weekend because the Texans don't play until Monday night, there will probably be a show. Y'all keep y'all alerts on. There's probably going to be a show either Saturday or Sunday, but there will be a weekend show to take us on through to the game. And that show, we've talked about the keys to victory. We may just talk about some other things. Yeah. Texans have become a destination for seafood. Yep. Yes. Yep. So, So yes, there will be a weekend show. So y'all make sure y'all have those alerts on. If you have some time to give me, I definitely would appreciate it. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports Talk with. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Oh my goodness. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Texans podcast and the Locked On Texans YouTube page. Don't worry, Ken. I will. I have made it my duty. Big Sarge. I'm out.
Hard work.